The war against corruption worldwide is a very difficult one to fight because it's complicated and mutates in form. In Uganda, the main perception among the public is that corruption is deeply entrenched in society. However, they recognize government efforts to fight the vice. Corruption is manifested in bribery, abuse of office, delaying and denying services, misusing funds, among others. Corruption undermines democracy, economic development, and creates unstable governments. By Resolution 58/4 of 31st October 2003, the United Nations General Assembly designated 9th December as the International Anti-Corruption Day. The day was designated for global observance to promote awareness about corruption, its dangers, and how to prevent and combat it. This presents an opportunity for governments, political leaders, lobby and interest groups, civil society organizations and the public to build partnerships against corruption by reflecting on its evils and trying to find consensus on new measures to fight it.
Our Directorate of Education and Prevention of Corruption has been going around in different institutions, different parts of the country, educating the people about corruption and its deleterious effects and how it can be combated. This is now the responsibility of everybody that we are emphasizing. When the Directorate of Education and Prevention of Corruption goes out, they tell everybody that it's their responsibility to fight corruption. It's also their responsibility to put in place measures that prevent corrupt practices from mushrooming in government institutions.
Observing the International Anti-Corruption Day in Uganda is an opportunity to raise the anti-corruption banner high and reflect on the path that lies ahead. With support from GIZ and Sugar Facility, anti-corruption agencies have undertaken a series of events including public dialogues, media outreach, public exhibitions and boardroom sessions, among others. These events are seen as a way of addressing anti-corruption and taking the discussion a notch higher by extending the frontiers of the fight against corruption to individual responsibility. It also echoes the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda as laid down in Article 17(1)(1), which bestows a duty on every citizen to fight corruption and wastage of public property, and in line with Principle 26 of the National Objectives and Directive Principles of State Policy.
We have up to 10 institutions constitutionally established to do nothing else but to fight against corruption. We have a sea of laws that this government has put in place in order to provide weapons to the agents in the fight against corruption so that they can get hold of all these errant citizens who unfortunately are depriving Ugandans of their rights and privileges.
Anti-corruption advocates use this period to organize events, engage stakeholders and the general public to effectively fight corruption in communities. Uganda signed and ratified 2 anti-corruption conventions, the United Nations Convention Against Corruption and the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption. For over a decade, anti-corruption agencies, organizations and individual actors in Uganda have commemorated the day through a series of activities which have led to the emergence of the Anti-Corruption Week. It is a week in which various actors reflect on progress made in the fight against corruption, seek to address the challenges and raise awareness on the importance of the public to join the other stakeholders to eradicate the vice in the country. The week-long events climax with the International Anti-Corruption Day. This has proved to be an effective advocacy strategy, mainly to call on various actors to show greater commitment to fight against corruption.
Our emphasis is to try to see how much we can unearth or how much we can bring to light in the course of our audits such that corruption is brought to light.
The public has lost confidence in the state delivering the service to them in form of a school, in form of income generating projects or roads or what. So when a person steals state resources and takes to them, either by way of campaign money or by way of just benevolent goodies, just to give some goodies, you find people clapping their hands. They put up mega buildings in their villages, in towns, but the public would, instead of reporting or calling on those people to account, will instead glorify them.
We have had in the past a situation where the public seems to glorify people who have stolen public funds. But we are saying this should change. The public should join us in the law enforcement to ensure that they report corrupted people and reject corrupt tendencies. And this is a process which we have started, and I'm sure it will bear great results.
The Inspectorate of Government, the Office of the Auditor General, Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority, Justice, Law and Order Sector, Directorate for Ethics and Integrity, with support from GIZ and the Sugar Facility, have continued their collaborative approach against corruption, with the 2016 Anti-Corruption Week theme being Reject and Report Corruption, Your Responsibility. The theme is premised on the fact that every citizen has a role to play in the fight against corruption. This is a collective responsibility and should not be left to government alone. This year's events are focused on mobilizing public support and active participation in the fight against corruption at all levels as a way of improving public service delivery and promoting national development. The call has been made that strategies are developed to make the public more involved in the fight against corruption so that they reject and report any acts of corruption within their communities.
We have a strategic plan, and the plan has 5 strategic objectives, which are the following. We intend to improve on the efficiency and effectiveness of the Inspectorate of Government in its core responsibilities, that is, of investigating corruption, prosecuting corrupt people who engage in corrupt practices, and also in the mandate as the National Ombudsman. We are also trying to leverage the Ombudsman role, that is, to ensure that people follow the law to the letter. We also are strengthening the enforcement of the Leadership Code of Conduct. How have we done this? We had promised the public that would start receiving online declarations. That process has been finalized, and starting this year, we received the first online declarations. We carried out an organizational development assessment, and that assessment has laid for us a framework upon which we are going to put in place changes. Those changes have already started with the setting up of the Directorate of Special Investigations. It is the biggest in the Inspectorate of Government. It's also supposed to ensure that people act responsibly, and it's also supposed to ensure that those who do not are investigated, prosecuted, and sanctioned.
The Anti-Corruption Week 2016 aims at mobilizing the support of the public to be proactive in the fight against corruption. This is intended to mobilize and make the public aware about corruption and its impact on service delivery, empower the citizens to prevent, detect and report acts of corruption, enlist the public to demand for accountability and better service delivery, and provide a forum to reflect and make strategies for advancing the anti-corruption agenda. Various activities have been carried out in order to realize the struggle. Boardroom sessions like this one in the Ministry of Education and Sports Boardroom set the anti-corruption agenda. It created an interactive environment for anti-corruption agencies to meet with government officials to deliberate on how to consolidate achievements in the fight, overcome challenges, and explore better strategies to eliminate corruption. These sessions are not for fault-finding and laying blame, but rather to identify areas that are likely to be affected by corruption and build synergies for appropriate redress mechanisms. Such sessions were also held with actors in the agriculture, investment and health sectors.
One of the activities they have undertaken this year is to talk to sectors about the cancer of corruption, to also give us feedback on the anti-corruption efforts they have taken so far, and also to hear from you.
There are a lot of complaints that we still receive with regard to mismanagement and abuse of office by head teachers. To give an illustration of the magnitude of the problem is we received about 167 complaints in the past 1 year, which represents a total of 18.1% of total complaints received at the Inspectorate of Government.
The first issue was on high incidences of complaints against head teachers in terms of mismanagement and abuse of office, both at the primary and at the secondary level. We noted that many, at least especially at the secondary education level, many of the administrators were not appointed in their posts substantively. Therefore, there was a gap in terms of management, but that is what we are addressing now.
Public debates, or barazas like this one in Mbarara, provide a platform for the public to discuss the issue of decision-making in public service. Barazas empower the public to demand for delayed service delivery in a participatory way. Other barazas were held in Lira and Jinja, where the public came in big numbers to air out their views against corruption.
Omuntu kuya kuhereza plan yo kumaraho corruption kuzapita kanuma kagwe 2018 umuntu gwe mukamukoreraje turebera kigo ka park izera kakwembero ambut katutu likakwata aba China sende zibayireze nguta mwe government yawa korije. We don't have love. We don't have our love for the nation. We don't have love for our neighbors. That is patriotism. Yanga yitu ni jonsi kizampa tulyampa security guaranteed no taha no korechi okwenda kuombeka okwenda kutambara na wana rutambara kugando Kampala ihanga kundihanga lyitu au ebi rutukorire bingi.
The media that constantly provides in-depth programs and reports has been important in disseminating information on anti-corruption. The People's Parliament talk show that was telecast on NTV on 19th November was a key platform in bringing out matters about the fight against corruption. Through investigative journalism, the media has also been able to expose key leads on corruption which are followed up by the anti-corruption agencies.
In our Anti-Corruption Act, we have, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at, I think Article 16, it talks about the offense and penalties, where we should charge people or incriminate people who are involved in nepotism.
Sometimes we think we know, but we don't. It's like you are busy spending energies and money and resources to dry a tree, but you're only picking up the leaves. And there are some leaves you cannot reach. You forget that dealing with it, you got the roots.
We do over 2,000 audits per year. We have been there since forever. Probably older than a number of you here. The Office of the Auditor General has been in place for over 100 years. And we have continuously brought out issues in relation to corruption and brought them out and related closely with our sister institutions to ensure that we move the process of accountability forward.
Similarly, boardroom sessions with senior editors from the media fraternity have advanced the anti-corruption agenda to create awareness on the evils of corruption, highlight the achievements realized through various interventions and enlist public support in the fight against corruption. The media boardroom sessions offered a forum for anti-corruption agencies to interact with the media houses on how to deepen and sustain their role in the fight against corruption. The interaction gave an opportunity to share new perspectives on fighting corruption and identify areas for greater collaboration where media houses have played a more strategic and transformative role alongside the anti-corruption agencies. The media boardroom sessions were held at Vision Media Group, CBS and Radio 1 and 2. As part of the anti-corruption activities, a public procession was flagged off by the Vice President Edward Kiwanuka Ssekandi from Chogum grounds on 2nd December. The day brought together several state and non-state actors and the general public. The procession snaked through the streets of Kampala with the walkers carrying banners and placards bearing anti-corruption messages.
I wish therefore to reaffirm the commitment of government to continue strengthening legal and policy framework for effective enforcement and coordination of government anti-corruption efforts. Strengthen the investigations and prosecutions of corruption cases through vigorous training of staff in cyber crimes and electronic frauds. Acquisition of modern specialized state-of-art equipment and transport logistics.
As part of the day's activities, there was an exhibition where information, education and communication IEC materials from the various exhibitors were distributed to the public. The IEC materials are meant to create awareness about corruption, empower people to join the fight against the vice, and demonstrate the success stories in the struggle. The materials included posters, stickers, booklets, magazines, and banners, among others. The Anti-Corruption Week's events climaxed with a public dialogue on 9th December, the Anti-Corruption Day.
The honesty in the private sector was supposed to spur development for the countries, and then as time went on, the ugly head of corruption captured that development.
This is a critical forum for taking stock of the achievements and reflect on the challenges associated with the anti-corruption agenda in Uganda. With a number of actors and the citizenry present, this forum is an important day for in-depth analysis and discussion of key anti-corruption issues that inform public policy, state action, and the role of the citizenry in taking the anti-corruption crusade higher.
Let corruption be part of the curriculum in primary schools and secondary schools, so that those people can go up in other levels knowing that corruption is bad, so that they cannot get into corruption.
During the campaigns, we see that is really very surprising. Someone who was carrying sacks of money bribing voters is given appreciation and is appointed a minister.
In commemoration of the Anti-Corruption Day, anti-corruption agencies continue to reaffirm their commitment to enhance efforts in the fight against corruption. However, the battle will be won if we all make it our responsibility to reject and report corruption.